Hi there, and welcome along to the North Lodge Cottage Garden. I, of course, am the Gardener Ben. Now, most of my pruning tutorials this year have been on my subscriber-based content. If you want to join that channel, it's going to cost you just about 99 pence per month. But what I thought I would do, as I've seen so many of these tutorials flying around on Instagram, YouTube, and now TikTok this year that are absolutely horrendous and making my toes curl. So I thought I would just revisit the subject with you again. I'm down on my knees next to my large bath planter, which is just on my left-hand side. And next to me is the beautiful Royal Jubilee from David Austin Roses. It had a very light prune in November going into December, just to reduce the root rock out of it and stop it whipping around. Now in mid-February, it's time to give it its proper prune, and I thought we'd do that together just now. So you're going to need a couple of items to hand. You're going to need a clean, sharp pair of secateurs. Even the tutorials I've seen from professional people, I've seen people using really dirty secateurs covered in sap that aren't well oiled and that aren't sharp, making really nasty, dodgy cuts. So please pay attention to what you're doing with your secateurs. I always say to my subscribers and my followers that you yourself are the orchestrator of your garden. You are the people doing the training, and it's completely up to you in which direction the plant grows. And there are some really key points to be made during your rose pruning. I'm going to turn the camera ever so slightly. You're not going to see me for a while. I'm going to drop the angle down so you can see what I'm doing. So please excuse me while we just get that camera angle sorted out, because unlike a lot of people, I'm working all on my own, just me in my garden. Right, you can see here there's a lot of stems to choose from on Royal Jubilee. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to remove any dead, diseased or dying wood, and you can see I've got one stem just here. I'm going to struggle to get into it without tearing myself. This particular stem here is dead, brown and dry. That one there, that one's been removed completely. Now, I say in an awful lot of my pruning tutorials, please be very careful of where you put your pruning matter down to. Don't just throw that on the floor and leave that there, because I can guarantee you that particular rose clipping is going to come back to bite you at another time. Right, once we've removed the dead, diseased and the dying, we want to remove any crossing stems, and we do that to avoid the disease problems in the future. You can see I've got a pair of stems just here that are actually crossing over. They're not actually causing any damage, but the stem here, the larger one at the back, is actually growing into the center of the plant and is really going to get congested. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove that stem completely, open up the center of the plant, adding lots of light and air circulation to the middle of the plant. We're going to take that away and we're going to place that on the pile with the other stems that we're going to use, cut away, and we're then going to go through the plant and remove any flimsy stems, anything that's below around the thickness of a pencil. And we do that because it won't really have the chance or the strength to hold a bloom next year, and we're going to reduce those stems right down to very close to where they came from, selecting an outward facing bud like this stem here. You can see this is very thin and flimsy indeed, so we're going to remove that one. This one here is coming back into the center of the plant. I'm going to remove that one as well. Nice clean cut. Right, after that we're going to go over these stems and we're going to thin these back a little bit to open up the center of the plant, just add a little bit of light flow. And you can see here we've got some congestion coming, this older stem at the back here, and I'm actually looking at this one thinking I'm going to remove this back section completely, nice and cleanly, and focus the attention on this outward facing stem. I'm then going to reduce these as well all the way down to a nice strong outward facing bud, and I've got one just there which I can prune to. Again, nice strong outward facing bud, around 3 inches from where the growth originated from last year. Now at this stage, don't be afraid of getting really up close and personal with your plant. Move the stems about. You might need to pull them towards you. You might need to change your kneeling location or your standing location. And if you're at all unsure, stand back and away from your plant. Assess the overall appearance and make sure what you're doing is correct. You can always come back to it at a later stage. If you're in any doubt whether you should remove a stem or not, it's probably best to leave it alone just for a second. Stand back, take a look at it, maybe go away and have a cup of tea, come back to it in a moment, and if it's still screaming at you that it looks wrong, go back to remove it at a later stage. Remember, you can always take it off, but you can't put it back on. So again, another stem here, outward facing bud. Now, Royal Jubilee has a tendency to get really quite large and floppy. You've seen me with this particular plant give this some support, I'm not afraid of getting some hazel canes in around this particular plant to give it some support and just bolster it up a little bit. This one, although it's in a raised elevation, will still reach well over 7, coming on to 8 feet tall by the end of the season. So I'm just working my way through this one now. Just a couple more stems to go. Again, selecting strong outward facing buds. We do that for a reason. We do that very importantly to make sure that the plant is always growing outwards from the center of the plant, allowing plenty of light and air into the center. There's lots of people that are going to tell you that this is not particularly important, and yes, you can come back to this next year and you can work this over again. But if you really want your plants over a period of 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 and on to 8 years old to really form good quality plants and really train themselves, these early stages when you're pruning your plant are really very important. Now, excuse me, I'm just going to stand up, and as I said, I'm going to look at this nice strong stem here. I want an outward facing bud at around the right sort of height. Realistically, I want the bud at about this sort of height here. I don't think I have one, so this stem is going to have to be shortened a little bit lower than the rest of them. The bud is actually on the back, you can't see it there. That's going to grow that stem away from the center of the plant. Nice strong stem there as well, so that hopefully will produce a nice strong vigorous growth. And again, just taking back those other stems to an outward facing bud to around 3 or 4 inches to where they originated from originally, and we are pretty much done. So don't be hesitant to go back over your plant and just remove any stems that are streaming out to you that maybe look a little wrong. This stem right down here, this is one of the original stems of the plant. You can see this one's really quite weak. I wouldn't be surprised if over the next year or so this stem dies off. Just going to tip that back and get that out of the way. A couple of little stems in the center there that are crossed. I'm going to remove those nice and tidily all the way back. And what you should be left with is something that looks really quite clean and sleek, selecting, nice strong outward facing buds all round. Little detail that a lot of people are saying isn't particularly important, but in my mind it is. If you end up with something looking like this is a Stacia Vi that I pruned earlier on my subscription-based service. You can see lovely open space right in the center of a Stacia Vi. This is the result of now 3 years or maybe 4 years consecutively pruning, selecting those strong outward facing buds, and over a period of time your pruning technique will actually do it for you. You'll end up with that nice open shape, plenty of light and airflow in the center, and you'll alleviate and completely eradicate all of those disease problems. Most of you are messaging me about saying, oh, I've got black spot, I've got mold, I've got mildew. All of those are normally caused by poor air circulation and bad pruning. At this stage, it is now really very important. You can see from what I've done at the top of this planter, I've already given this particular one a really good mulch off. Using or treating large planters like this as if they were actually in open ground and open soil, giving them a good 4 inches of good organic matter every single year. It could be bark, it could be good organic quality compost, anything you're producing from your compost bin at home. It could be spent mushroom compost or well rotted horse manure or cow manure that's over 3 years old. Whatever you do, make sure that you give all of your roses around the whole root zone, if you can the entire border or pot, but certainly around the entire root zone, which is a good 2 feet in every diameter from where the plant is actually planted, and give the whole root zone a good 4 inches or 100 millimeters of good quality organic mulching. Then again, once again, you can alleviate an awful lot of the stress and problems that your plants will get as we enter them summer months. Now I know it's particularly wet and horrible at the moment. It's very mild for this particular time of year. Temperatures already here reaching around 13 to 15 degrees, temperatures that we would normally see at the end of March or end of April, and it's only the second week in February. So we are going to be in for a very hot summer. I know it's very wet at the moment, but we will be experiencing large amounts of time this particular year, again without water. So mulching, very important in your garden, and one of the most important things I will ever tell you to do. I hope you found today's tutorial helpful. If you have any queries or questions, don't hesitate to reach out. Do consider subscribing to the Gardener Ben channel. It's going to cost you just 99p a month. You can subscribe and unsubscribe at any time. You can gift a subscription to another gardening friend here on Instagram or another social media channel. So yeah, and you have access to the full back catalogue. So lots and lots of stuff there for you to access. I will see you all again very soon. Happy pruning.